Hey everyone, and welcome back to episode 14 of me attempting the Predator achievement. I am actually quite sorry for the last video because that did not go as well as it probably should have. I honestly was going to just delete it, and I was thinking about deleting it and either restarting or just not posting a 13th episode and skipping right to 14 because I am that kind of person, but I think that some of it was at least salvageable, just cutting out some parts and doing some minor editing. But I still wasn't really, it could have been better, I guess. That's what I've been going on about. Yeah, let's go with I'm going with the Mono Imaginary again because it is my favorite. It is my favorite team comp to have. And I think just based off of the fact that imaginary characters are my favorite, I might go for My Day. I was really thinking about it with earlier today because I kept on seeing information and videos on the Herta and how she's supposed to be really good and and same with the Remembrance Trailblazer, but I don't know if those are legitimate or I thought that was a destruction blessing. Whoops. But I don't know. I just keep on hearing a lot about how the Herta and Remembrance Trailblazer are both really good units, and not to say not to not believe the people that are have the insider knowledge on this, but all of it reads so much like clickbait that I'm not inclined to believe it until the units are released. Cause how do we know if this is true or not? Even with leaks, things could change last minute. So I'm just not inclined to believe, or at least I'm inclined to be very skeptical and not expect all the information that we get from leaks to be true, if that makes sense. Don't know how to go about this because we can go down here and then up and then hope for a trotter domain like that, adventure domain like that, and then go down here. But I could also just turn that into a combat domain, so that's fine. I probably should have turned this one into a combat domain, but oh well. But yeah, I really want a Galia, just because I've said this before, but I personally think, just based off of, I haven't looked at the leaks for her kit or anything. I just assume, quote unquote, assume that based off the fact that she's one of the first new units that are for the Remembrance path, that she will be good, at least in the beginning. So I personally view her as having more value to an account than the Herta. So that's I'm gonna try really hard to just not pull for her and wait for the second phase, especially since I think I will be going for My Day now. And I honestly don't have that many pulls saved up anyways after pulling for a fugue. Did that switch it? Switched everything around. Okay, whatever. But we'll see where my impulse control gets me. There's definitely a few upcoming units that I am interested in. That whenever Castris gets released, I will probably be pulling for her. Just because I like her design. I don't really I don't normally like quantum characters. At least that's what she's rumored to be. But I don't know. I like her design enough. I like her character design well enough. So I'll probably pull for her. I don't know who else. Like I think it's too soon to tell. With I guess I could have gone down one. Because that'll have more possible. Yeah, let's just go down. Yeah, I guess I'll just have to see how the banners play out. Because that like a lot of what I'm gonna be pulling for depends on and it's fine. But a lot of like my decision on who I'm gonna pull for really depends on really depends on who it is and how feasible it will be for me to pull. Like if I had enough jades and tickets to pull for the Herta and Agalia and then my day in the second phase of 3.1, then I would definitely pull for her. But realistically, I only have enough to barely squeak by with pulling for Agalia and my day. It just depends on how much, and also just depends on how many tickets and whatnot we get. Tickets and J's we get from the New World for 3.1 patch. Which I don't know what the projected outlook is for that one either. I'm gonna pull Fei Xiao anyway for this. And I definitely think that, I don't know, it's a very, very, very big we'll see situation for me at least, as I've been saying for like the past few videos now, I believe. Okay. Oops. Okay, that's what I was trying to do. I don't know why that was such a struggle. Enhanced beacon, sure, why not? Oh shit, okay. Whoops.
强敌在前，也不妨一试。
试试手气，安息之日，
留下来吧。
云泥玉水，
生存还是毁灭，你别无选择。
一无所有，或者赢下所有。
苍龙卓世，
护你左右，领你远行。
起！生存还是毁灭，你别无选择。
明剑引进。
I was actually I don't know why, I literally just remembered this, but I wanted to try a run with Welt as like the sub DPS. Because I just wanted to see how that would work. But I completely forgot about it until like just now when I was seeing how much damage he was doing with Sunday boosting him, boosting his attack and damage. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow if I remember. I'll try to write it down so I do, because that might be interesting to see. At least for me, it would be interesting. I don't know if anyone else would find that interesting at all. Let's see what couriers. Yeah, that's fine. Like I could, it might be a bit, I might be like quote unquote wasting my team space, but I might try for a Welt, like a dual sub DPS Welt and Aven with Luocha and then Sunday. That's just me. I don't think that might work, because like my Aven does do pretty well as a sub DP. Like yeah, I have a sub DPS build for Aven, so like he is capable of, like I know I've run Golden Gears, so like a solo run with Aven before, so I know that he's capable of even just being the sole like quote unquote DPS for a team and be perfectly fine and functional. So I don't know, there's a lot of things that I think I'll try at some point if I remember them. I do remember like one time when I was trying to run a solo with Aven, I had Svarog as like one of the boss fights, and it was so frustrating because I got soft locked. Wait, I don't think it was a boss fight with Svarog. I think that was, I think it was something else. But it was definitely when I was trying to solo run Golden Gears, I got soft locked into a fight with those robots that like heal themselves. Like they would heal equal to or more than the amount of damage I was doing. So this whole fight was going on for like well over a half hour, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. This run is ruined. So I kind of just quit. I had to reset. I had to quit that run and try it again because I just got soft locked into that fight, which was very frustrating. Which is why I tend to hate those enemies too. Like I think the destruction warp trotters and the ones that self-heal are like the most annoying enemies to me. Like the bosses are actually not too bad. Which is funny to me that like the destruction warp trotters will do more damage to me than, well, I guess it's also because like every single time you attack them, they like deal a certain amount of damage back. So that's why it's more difficult to get around those sometimes than it is with like elite enemies. Trotters are just the secret elite enemies, I guess. At least this, not necessarily the run, but I feel like this video is definitely just doing better than yesterday's. I don't know why I'm still hung up on yesterday's video, but I know that it must have been like, it was very painful to get through myself, so I can't imagine if anyone ended up watching that, how it must have been. And I really do apologize for that.
一无所有，或者赢下所有。冥界你近，护你左右，领你远行。
起！苍龙卓世。
I love how some of these blessings are like really specific, but then others aren't. Like you could say, let's go this way. It's like that one with the like a small chance of removing a debuff. Like okay, well how small of a chance is that compared to other ones that like say, oh, there's like exactly this percentage of like HP that you get back or whatever. Yeah, with the DOT blessing, it's like you get 1% health every single time enemies take damage from DOTs. So it's just funny to me that some are very specific and others are like vague. Shield based on HP difference, yeah. Nice. I needed that one. We could pop that down here. And we're actually gonna get 3 enemies in this one. That's good. At least the one thing that I know for sure is that Sunday is obviously going to be really good for any of the Remembrance characters that come out in the next few patches. So at least I thought ahead with grabbing that E1. And you know, if like what they say about Remembered's Trailblazer is true, because I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but I had been seeing a lot of videos and comments saying how like, oh, how Remembrance Trailblazer is like a really, really good unit for them being a free. And I just, again, I'm skeptical of that because that like the whole entire video just looked like pure clickbait and not like anything legitimate, if that makes sense. So like I didn't even bother watching because I'm like, oh, this is clickbait, which is what I try to avoid with my videos, which I think I mentioned that in the very beginning when I started this series, restarted this series, that like, yeah, how I do my videos might not appeal to everyone and they might lose interest, but I'd rather have people that are genuinely interested in my videos watch them than have people like just then be like a clickbait like that. I don't want to be like that. Like obviously the algorithm works in the clickbait in favor of those that have clickbait titles and whatever. I don't like it, so I don't do that. Because like I think, I don't know, I just want to make videos that I would find interest in, and I don't like clickbait videos. And that's all there really is to it. But yeah, so like I don't know how good Remembered's Trailblazer actually is going to be. And I'm kind of hesitant. I think I mentioned this yesterday or the day before that I'm very hesitant to do away with my Harmony Trailblazer build. Like if there was a way to save the build with each patch, like with each path that you switch, like if you could keep, like let's say I have Destruction, like let's say I had the Destruction Trailblazer build and Harmony Trailblazer build. it would be a lot easier, I think, if when you switched paths, those relics were like locked to that version of the character, so you didn't have to like store those relics somewhere else.
生存还是毁灭？
So like if you switched from Destruction Trailblazer to Harmony Trailblazer, then you already have all the Harmony Trailblazer, like you have the Harmony Trailblazer build
苍龙灼射，
already inputted for that version of the character, and if you wanted to switch back to the Destruction Trailblazer, you could just do that and have everything for that build already there. But I don't even know if that'd be something that Hoyo would consider adding at any point.
谨慎。
But I hope they do, especially with the fact that we're having March also get like different pathways.
冥界的遗迹，
But who knows?
生存还是毁灭？
What I'm really wanting is actually Welt to get a remembrance path change. Like I think that would be the most fitting for
一无所
him
有，
as a
或者
character,
赢下所有，小心。
because I kind of like lore-wise, it kind of makes sense for him to be remembrance path rather than nihility. Because like with the memo keepers and like just keeping track of just like remembering things in general, like that's a very boiling down remembrance to like a single aspect. But if like if remembrance is about remembering things and keeping records of things, then doesn't that fit Welt really well? Considering he's from the Honkai Impact 3rd universe, he and Void Archives,
生存还是毁灭？
and he has like what? He's like canonically 82 years old, and like lived through the Honkai War, like the one of the Honkai Wars, and like has all these memories. He's like one of the only people in the Star Rail universe that has memories and remembers things from the like even knows anything about the Honkai Impact 3rd part of the universe. Like
一无所
I
有，
just think he'd be very like lore-wise. It makes perfect sense for him to be like of the remembrance path. And so that's something I really hope that they implement, that if they have other characters obtain different paths. Like I know for Trailblazer, it's obviously because of like the Stellaron inside them that allows them to switch paths and stuff. And with March, it's her memories, which is interesting in itself because I wonder if March would have been a remembrance character if they had remembrance as a path from the beginning. And I guess like nihility does kind of work for Welt as well. Looking at this is more of like a symbolism thing than a lore thing. But we know that the Aeon for nihility, they directly reference the 9th card of the Major Arcana, which is the Hermit, which very much ties into like nihility as a concept, I think, at least for Star Rail universe. And I've always kind of, there are aspects of the Hermit that I do attribute to Welt a lot. I know that with the Star Rail Tarot card by the Brother Ming games, they have him as Judgment, which also works very well. I do not disagree with that. I do not disagree with that Major Arcana assignment. It's a very good fit for him as well.
是胆怯。
I just kind of view the Hermit, especially if you're looking at like with his character mechanics of being I almost said mono imagining, with him being nihility,
别无选择。
like
一无所有，
it does make sense. I would have to look into more aspects of the Hermit card to see if any of the other nihility characters follow that.
护你左右。
Like aside from the aspects of nihility that we have lore-wise, canonically lore-wise. But like, I don't have any notes in front of me about why I think like, because I just like spontaneously remembered all of this again, so I don't have any notes in front of me about why I believe these certain things about Welt, but I do think that I just really want Hoya to make him a remembrance character. That's all I like. If they do that, I will be happy, because that is lore. That is a very big lore connection for me, at least. And like, wouldn't that make sense too with like his abilities? Like, we know that they're more limited because I believe the core that he has is only like a copy of the original one, from what I remember. So it's not like as powerful as the original, but he can still do significant amount of. He still has a significant amount of power. And also from his injuries too. I think, wasn't it mentioned in Alien Space that he only could like, I want to say it was like only 60% of his original power he had managed to get back. I feel like it was around 60, but I am not sure. Oops. But I don't know. There's a few things that I'm really just happy, happy for. And there's things that I really just want in the game, like Void Archives playable when. Speaking of which, I do co-own the Void Archive main server, Discord server, with a friend of mine. I will drop that link down into the description if anyone is interested in joining there. We recently just hit like 500 members. And I wonder if too, like, I don't know much about Himeko as like a character, like lore-wise from Honkai Impact 3. I keep on wanting to say High 3 because that's like, I just abbreviate it to that. But at least that's how I pronounce the abbreviation. But I wonder if she'll get any, which is this reminds me of something that I was actually talking about with friends, is that if we look at, like, if imaginary characters like if every single imaginary character has like an ideal, like an unrealistic ideal, like you look at Sunday, his whole thing with order, and like how he had unrealistic expectations and goals of wanting to preserve everything through order, that fits the imaginary trope very well. For Don Hung, I think it's really just the ideal that like his whole character is very much like, I don't remember how I described it initially, but I know that I was talking about like like he wants to run away from his past, but you cannot. The past is always going to be there. It's kind of like an unrealistic expectation that you will be able to run away from your past and escape it. Like, you can ignore it all you want, but it's always going to be there. And I think that was a really pivotal thing for like why we got this version of him as well. With the Harmony Trailblazer, I'm still not entirely sure on how they fit into that ideal of like having unrealistic expectations or goals, unless you take it quite literally and say that the fact that the Penacony storyline was like not real, like the initial part of it wasn't real, you could arguably say that's what it was. But that's even a loose interpretation. Like, I'm pretty sure if I dug into it more, I could find something with how it ties into Harmony as well. But as of right now, I'm not 100% sure on how Harmony Trailblazer fits into that. I know I was thinking about, like, and same with the Hunt March. Like, I think, oh, actually, no, her thing with her being imaginary, with that version of her being imaginary, for me, it was like, in any other, like, in any realistic situation, you would not be able to become a sword master in, like, a week. That's just not possible. That's just imaginary thinking right there. And with Aventurine is another tricky one because I honestly don't remember what I was talking about when it came to him being imaginary when I was initially talking about this with friends. But I think it's, again, something along the same lines as Don Hung with those, like, this ideal that you can't escape your past, or like you can run from your past, and then, which he really can't. No one can really run from their past. So I think, especially with Aven, I think it was really apparent that he hides a lot of his trauma and insecurities behind, like, this mask. And so, like, that could be like an imaginary facade, almost, that hides, like, his, like, quote-unquote true self, which I think we saw really at the end of the Penacony arc more. I'm trying to think of any other, like, Luocha. We still don't know enough about him for me to really tell whether or not, like, what his, since he's a version of Otto, since he's the Star Rail version of Otto, and I know we all know how everyone that knows Honkai Impact 3rd knows how Otto is. I think if Luocha is that a version, I know he's specifically the Seven Swords version of Otto, but there's still those ideals that almost every version of Otto, I say, have, that tie in some way to, like, unrealistic ideals and expectations. I'm not sure what Ayato's is, because I don't really pay attention much to Genshin lore, but I know if we look at Otto at his core, with his obsession with his Teresa, yes, like with, I think it was Teresa, with him trying to, like, resurrect her and bring her back, like, those are unrealistic and idealized goals that aren't particularly possible. I know there's more complexities to his character than that, and honestly, I'm not the Otto expert, so I don't know what those are. But considering everything we know about Otto and how Luocha is a variant of him, it's safe to say that he does definitely fall into some sort of, like, ideal, or, and, like, he just is, he fits that aspect of what imaginary represents as a typing. Same with Yukong, again with the past, with her, I don't remember, like, I remember going over some of her story, but, like, and then Rappa having her, like, Rappa's another case of imaginary or fake facade going on, because, like, and it's not just that, it's borderline delusional on her part, all as a coping mechanism, because of what she had been through. So I think with like, I don't know, but it made me realize that if you look at everyone on the Astral Express, like, there's memes and everything about how Himeko is the only character from the Astral Express crew that isn't imaginary. It's because she's still grounded in reality. Everyone else has these ideals and these ideas and unrealistic goals and expectations, but still she kind of remains the one that's grounded, and this could very possibly come into play too with, like, her being like, hey, take a minute, stop and consider this. And it also helps that makes sense too, I think, because she's the Helm Master. Like she's the one that keeps everyone together. And so like I don't know, that's just my theory on how the imaginary characters fit into different aspects like of everything. And that was kind of a tangent, and I don't know if that was interesting to anyone, but I hope at least someone found something new to think about. And I will end this here, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and have a good rest of your day.